Let me tell you something nobody wants to hear. When the next emergency strikes, whether it's another pandemic, supply chain collapse, or government-mandated shutdown, the winners won't be the ones scrolling through panic posts on Twitter. They'll be the ones who saw it coming and acted accordingly. Because here's what actually happens when crisis mode activates. Retail establishments slash operating times, inventory evaporates like morning dew, and mass hysteria spreads faster than any breaking news alert. At that point, your wishful thinking means absolutely nothing. What matters is what you've already secured in your home. The individuals who prepare intelligently, they're not sweating bullets. They're calmly managing their daily routines while the unprepared majority loses their collective minds. The next major disruption isn't some distant hypothetical. It's already forming on the horizon, and when it arrives, store shelves will be stripped bare before you can finish saying out of stock. But those who make it through unscathed, they're not in panic mode. They prepared months ago. Right now, we're breaking down 12 critical items that intelligent preppers are silently accumulating before the opportunity vanishes. And item number 5, once the word spreads, it'll evaporate from retail locations almost immediately. Let's get into it. Number 12, items for psychological well-being and comfort. Here's what we need to acknowledge right from the start. The average person assumes that weathering an emergency situation revolves entirely around sustenance, hydration, and bathroom tissue. But here's what the frenzied shoppers consistently miss. Your psychological state is absolutely critical to survival too. When you're confined indoors for extended periods, trapped with the same surroundings day after endless day, you're not just battling monotony, you're fighting against overwhelming anxiety, severe cabin fever, and sometimes crushing depression that can destroy your ability to function. This is precisely where comfort provisions become essential. Jigsaw puzzles, reading materials, tabletop games, even premium chocolate or your preferred comfort snacks. These aren't indulgent extras. They represent the barrier between maintaining psychological stability and experiencing complete mental breakdown. Picture yourself trapped in a tiny living space. Your neighbors are having screaming matches. News alerts are bombarding your phone constantly. Your mind is racing uncontrollably. And then you discover you have absolutely nothing to redirect your focus. That's a psychological disaster waiting to materialize. Here's the part that'll make people uncomfortable. Retail chains and emergency preparation manuals rarely emphasize this because it lacks dramatic appeal. Nobody's trying to market you emotional stability the way they push water purification systems. Yet in every genuine emergency lockdown situation, the individuals who emerge mentally intact, emotionally balanced, and even somewhat productive, they invested in psychological comfort items long before the chaos erupted. They maintain a strategic reserve of mental distractions that typical people dismiss as trivial until disaster strikes. Tabletop games transform into psychological lifelines. Books become portals to mental escape. Chocolate and preferred snacks evolve into morale sustainers, almost functioning as informal currency when household tension reaches breaking points. And yes, accumulating these provisions isn't merely intelligent, it's absolutely essential. Because let's face reality, sustenance keeps your body functioning, but your mental condition determines the quality of your survival experience. So while the masses are engaged in physical altercations over dried pasta and bathroom tissue, the strategically minded preppers are quietly reading novels, completing puzzles, or enjoying a quick round of their favorite board game to preserve their sanity. During any prolonged isolation period, mental stability equals power. And that's precisely why psychological comfort and mental health provisions are absolutely mandatory, even though most people refuse to acknowledge it. Think about the long-term implications here. We're not talking about a weekend inconvenience. Major disruptions can stretch for months. Without mental stimulation and emotional comfort, even the strongest individuals begin to crack. Depression sets in, relationships deteriorate, decision-making becomes impaired. But those with proper psychological preparation, they maintain clarity, make sound choices, and preserve family harmony while others are falling apart. Consider diversifying your mental health stockpile. Adult coloring books, craft supplies, musical instruments if you play, streaming subscriptions downloaded for offline viewing, workout equipment for endorphin release, journaling materials, meditation apps, and yes, plenty of your guilty pleasure comfort foods that bring genuine joy. These aren't weaknesses. They're strategic survival tools that maintain your most critical asset, a functioning, stable mind. Number 11. Energy sources and ignition materials. Here's a reality check most individuals don't grasp until crisis mode hits. Sustenance and hydration aren't the only resources that disappear during emergencies. Energy sources vanish too. Gasoline, propane tanks, charcoal briquettes. These aren't merely convenient additions. They're the unsung champions of crisis survival. Without these fuel sources, your backup generator becomes an expensive paperweight. Your outdoor grill transforms into nothing but a decorative metal sculpture, and your heating system turns into an utterly useless fixture. And yet, this represents one category that almost everyone completely ignores until widespread panic takes hold. Individuals frantically rush stores for canned vegetables, completely forgetting that possessing food becomes meaningless if you lack the fuel to prepare it properly. When supply shortages materialize, queues at filling stations extend for literal miles. Costs explode exponentially. And the absolute worst aspect? Distribution networks for propane and charcoal can completely disintegrate, leaving you literally freezing in harsh conditions. Here's the uncomfortable reality. Accumulating fuel reserves isn't prohibited in most jurisdictions, but society definitely frowns upon it. Yet the individuals who navigate lockdowns without sacrificing basic comfort, they quietly secure extra fuel containers, fire-starting materials, and even backup ignition sources long before anyone else considers it necessary. They've prepared to cook meals, generate heat, and maintain power generation while everyone else scrambles desperately. And don't overlook the seemingly minor items: matchbooks, disposable lighters, and comprehensive fire-starting kits. Small, inexpensive, and consistently underestimated. Yet once panic buying begins, these items disappear faster than fresh bakery items during crisis situations. Because while typical consumers are busy competing over preserved goods, those with foresight are sitting comfortably, properly fueled, and ready to power through whatever challenges emerge next. In any emergency scenario, energy represents freedom, and those who neglect it, they're the ones shivering, frustrated, and desperate, while the prepared minority thrives comfortably. Let's talk specifics that survival guides often skip. If you heat with propane, store at minimum 3 full tanks, properly secured outside, never indoors. For those with wood-burning capabilities, stack at least 2 cords of properly seasoned wood in a dry location. Charcoal users should maintain at least 6 bags, rotated regularly to prevent moisture absorption. Gasoline storage requires proper containers, never makeshift solutions. Stabilizer additives extend shelf life dramatically. Keep at least 20 to 30 gallons if you have proper storage capabilities and local regulations permit. But here's the critical point. Fuel degrades. Gasoline spoils within 3 to 6 months without stabilizer. Rotate your supply. Use it, replenish it, treat it like a living inventory. And those fire-starting materials? Waterproof matches, multiple lighters, test them quarterly. Magnesium fire starters,
fire-starting cubes, even cotton balls soaked in petroleum jelly stored in waterproof containers. These cheap, simple items become priceless when you need heat, light, or cooked food and conventional systems fail. Number 10. Sanitation products in large quantities. Here's a shocking reality. When mass panic erupts, individuals aren't just competing over sustenance and hydration. They're desperately fighting over cleanliness supplies. Laundry detergent, dish cleaning soap, all-purpose cleaning solutions, and disinfecting agents vanish faster than anyone anticipates. And yet most emergency preparation resources barely acknowledge them. Why this oversight? Because it lacks excitement. Nobody's interested in marketing you a sanitized home the way they promote freeze-dried meal packages or filtration systems. But here's the critical truth. Your residence represents your primary defense barrier during any lockdown scenario. If you cannot maintain cleanliness, harmful bacteria multiply exponentially. Refuse accumulates, and minor irritations escalate into major stress catalysts. That's precisely why individuals who survive extended isolation with minimal disruption aren't merely purchasing sustenance.
They're quietly stockpiling months' worth of cleaning products before the general population catches on. The controversial aspect? Some retail establishments actually impose purchase limits during panic buying periods. So if you delay until news broadcasts trigger mass panic, you'll face nothing but depleted shelves. Meanwhile, strategic preppers are already washing, scrubbing, and disinfecting without any anxiety about running out. And don't underestimate the psychological advantage this provides. A properly sanitized home maintains mental sharpness, elevates spirits, and keeps your household operating efficiently. During crisis situations, seemingly small things like a well-stocked supply of dish soap or laundry detergent can feel like absolute luxury, a privileged position, even a secret superpower. Stockpiling cleaning supplies now isn't just practical thinking. It's a survival strategy that most people completely overlook. And when everyone else panics, you'll be the one calm, organized, and untouchable. Let's break down a comprehensive cleaning arsenal. Multiple gallons of bleach, rotated for potency, several bottles of multi-surface disinfectant, at least 6 months of laundry detergent, powder lasts longer than liquid, dish soap in bulk, rubber gloves in various sizes, scrub brushes, microfiber cloths, trash bags in multiple sizes, you'll use more than you think, toilet cleaning solutions, and don't forget basics like brooms, mops, and dustpans. Here's what preparedness experts won't tell you. Cleaning isn't just about hygiene. It's about maintaining order when chaos threatens to overwhelm. The psychological impact of a clean and organized space during extended isolation cannot be overstated. It provides structure, routine, and a sense of control when external circumstances feel completely uncontrollable. Number 9. Animal companion food and necessities. Here's something virtually nobody discusses when preparing for emergency situations. Your animal companions don't understand supply disruptions. Canines still require regular feeding. Felines still need litter replacement. Birds still need fresh nutrition, even when retail locations sit empty and shelves are completely stripped. Yet most pet owners only recognize this reality once panic takes hold, leaving their furry or feathered family members struggling for survival alongside everyone else. Here's the uncomfortable truth. While typical consumers are hoarding pasta, rice, and bathroom tissue, the truly prepared are quietly stockpiling pet nutrition, litter, and other essentials long before chaos erupts. Why this strategy? Because a hungry, stressed animal can transform an already tense lockdown into an absolute nightmare. A dog deprived of nutrition becomes restless, destructive, and increasingly vocal. A stressed feline can shred furniture or hide in impossible-to-access locations. Even a neglected bird can spiral into chaotic behavior. Suddenly, your safe refuge is no longer secure. And let's be completely honest. During lockdowns, pet supplies vanish just as quickly, if not more rapidly, than human essentials. Premium brands disappear from store shelves within hours. Last-minute purchasers find themselves paying astronomical prices online,
competing in desperate bidding wars. Meanwhile, savvy preppers already have months of supplies carefully stored away, keeping their pets happy, healthy, and calm while everyone else scrambles in stressed, panicked desperation. Stockpiling pet essentials isn't just about feeding animals. It's about protecting your home environment, your mental health, and your sanity. A well-nourished, comfortable pet remains calm, predictable, and safe. A neglected one creates stress, noise, and chaos that drains your energy faster than any shortage of human provisions. In lockdown scenarios, pets aren't just companions. They're part of your overall survival equation. Professional tip: diversify your stockpile comprehensively. Dry food, wet food, treats, litter, cleaning supplies, and even backup medications if your pet requires them. Rotate your stock methodically so nothing expires, and store extras in a cool, dry location. The time to prepare for your pets is right now, because when everyone else realizes their furry family is starving, it's already too late. Consider the complete picture. If you have dogs, stock waste bags, leashes, and any medications. Cats need multiple litter boxes if supplies run low. Birds require specialized foods. Don't forget first aid supplies for pets: bandages, antiseptic, tweezers for tick removal. And here's something most people never consider: pet stress management. Extra toys, calming treats, pheromone diffusers. These items keep animals mentally stable during disruption when they sense human stress. A calm pet creates a calm household. An anxious pet amplifies existing tension exponentially.
Number 8. Preserved or vacuum-sealed protein sources. Here's the brutal reality most individuals don't recognize until it's far too late. Fresh meat, fish, and even plant-based protein alternatives vanish almost instantaneously during lockdown scenarios. Supermarket shelves get completely stripped within hours, and suddenly all that remains is whatever scraps are sitting in your freezer, if you even thought ahead enough to prepare. That's why preserved or vacuum-sealed protein sources aren't just food, they're your survival lifeline. Chicken breasts, fish fillets, beef cuts, tofu, or other high-protein staples can last months when properly stored, keeping your body strong, your immune system sharp, and your energy levels up when fresh options disappear completely. And let's be honest, nothing tests your patience, health, and sanity faster than rationing beans and rice while your body desperately craves protein. Here's the controversial truth most prepper guides conveniently overlook. Carbohydrates keep you full temporarily, but protein keeps you actually alive and functioning. Without it, muscle tissue weakens, immune response drops dramatically, and even simple daily tasks, cooking, cleaning, staying alert, become exhausting struggles. The people who emerge from lockdowns healthy, calm, and strong, they've already secured frozen and vacuum-sealed proteins long before panic hit the shelves. And the chaos of empty freezer sections is absolutely real. Unlike pantry staples, you can't improvise when meat disappears. There's no substitute for that protein punch. Protein powder can help supplement, but it's not the same as real, satisfying meals that keep you fueled and mentally stable. Professional tip: diversify your protein stockpile comprehensively. Mix various meats, fish, plant-based options, and even canned high-protein foods. Rotate your stock to prevent spoilage, and consider vacuum sealing at home to extend shelf life dramatically. Freezers aren't just for convenience. They're your personal armor against hunger, weakness, and panic. The key takeaway: stay ahead of the curve. Secure your protein sources and don't wait until shelves are bare. When fresh meat disappears, those who didn't plan are left scrambling, hungry, and vulnerable, while you're calm, well-fed, and thriving. Let's discuss storage optimization. Dedicate freezer space strategically. Don't just throw items in randomly. Vacuum-sealed proteins stack efficiently and prevent freezer burn. Label everything with dates, organize by protein type and expiration priority. Consider investing in a standalone freezer if space and budget allow. It's not an expense, it's an investment in food security. For those without extensive freezer capacity, canned proteins become crucial. Tuna, salmon, chicken, even canned beef. Dried proteins like jerky, although expensive, provide shelf-stable options.
Protein powder, whey, plant-based, whatever suits your dietary needs, stores compactly and provides emergency nutrition when nothing else is available. And here's the uncomfortable truth about protein scarcity. Your body begins cannibalizing its own muscle tissue for energy when protein intake drops too low. This isn't just about feeling hungry, it's about your body literally consuming itself. Adequate protein prevents this biological crisis and maintains your physical capability to handle challenges. Number 7. Power cell reserves and backup energy systems. Here's a harsh reality most people don't grasp until it's far too late. Flashlights, radios, medical devices, even your smartphone, they all live and die by power cells. And once panic hits, AA, AAA, and even rechargeable batteries vanish almost as rapidly as bathroom tissue, leaving the unprepared completely powerless and panicking in darkness. Stockpiling batteries isn't just smart thinking, it's survival insurance. Without them, your flashlights become useless, your emergency radio goes silent, and you're completely cut off from critical updates, weather alerts, and even basic communication. Think about it. In an emergency, one text message could save your life. But if your phone dies and your backup is not existent, you're blind to the world outside your walls. Rechargeable power cells? They're the unsung heroes. Sure, a pack of disposables might last a week, but rechargeable batteries can keep devices alive indefinitely. With the right solar charging device or USB setup, you can keep your gadgets running while the rest of your neighborhood stumbles blindly in the dark. Suddenly, you're not just surviving, you're thriving while others are scrambling. And let's discuss the extras most people overlook: power banks, solar charging devices, hand crank devices, and even small inverters that can power laptops or medical devices. These aren't luxury items, they're lifelines.
Imagine a blackout during a winter storm. The streets are dark, the electrical grid is down, everyone's panicking, and the grocery store's cash registers are dead. But you've got light, heat, and a phone that works. You can communicate with family, check emergency updates, even call for help if needed. That's power, real freedom, when everyone else is trapped in frustration and fear. The controversial truth? Most people assume that sustenance and hydration are the ultimate essentials. But here's the kicker. Without backup power, even a stockpile of canned goods and bottled water loses its value when darkness falls. You can't cook, you can't communicate, and you're isolated. Those who prepare with batteries and backup power, they're the ones still reading, still strategizing, still alive in more ways than one. And here's a professional tip few survival guides mention. Rotate your batteries regularly, test your chargers, and never rely on a single method. Technology fails, systems break. The most reliable survivalists diversify. Solar panels for sunny days, hand-crank devices for storms, and a stash of fresh batteries for every size imaginable. Treat backup power like cash in a bank, except in a blackout, it buys safety, mobility, and peace of mind. Because when the lights go out and chaos hits, having backup power isn't just convenience, it's control, it's freedom. And often, it's the difference between staying calm or succumbing to panic. Meanwhile, the unprepared, they're left in darkness, frustrated, powerless, and paying the steep, hidden price of ignoring essentials. Let's get specific about power systems. For battery storage, maintain at least 20 AA batteries, 20 AAA batteries, plus specialty sizes for specific devices. Rechargeable batteries require compatible chargers. Don't assume universal compatibility. Quality varies dramatically. Invest in reputable brands. Solar charging technology has evolved significantly. Portable solar panels now charge power banks efficiently. But understand their limitations. Cloudy weather reduces effectiveness dramatically. Don't rely solely on solar. It's supplementary, not primary. Power banks should provide multiple full charges for your devices. Calculate your needs. If your phone has a 3000 mAh battery, a 10,000 mAh power bank provides roughly 3 full charges. Stock multiple power banks and keep them charged. They slowly lose charge even unused. Hand-crank devices seem gimmicky, but prove invaluable when all else fails. Hand-crank flashlights, radios, and even phone chargers require no external power source. Yes, cranking is tedious, but in genuine emergencies, tedious beats powerless.
Number 6, protective masks and disposable gloves. Here's a hard truth most people only learn the painful way. Masks and gloves aren't just pandemic fashion statements. They're critical survival gear. Anytime there's contamination, a viral spike, or even a localized outbreak, these items act as your first line of defense, shielding you, your family, and your home. And when panic hits, they disappear almost instantly, leaving the unprepared exposed, vulnerable, and humiliated. The controversial reality? While everyone else is hoarding bathroom tissue, pasta, and bottled water, the real preppers quietly stockpile N95 respirators, surgical masks, and disposable gloves by the box. Why? Because when infections spike or surfaces get contaminated, having these essentials separates the healthy from the sick, the calm from the panicked, and the prepared from the desperate. It's the difference between silently walking through chaos and fighting just to survive. And here's something most people don't realize. The psychological edge is brutal and often overlooked. Wearing masks and gloves doesn't just physically protect you, it reduces fear, builds confidence, and gives you a sense of control when everything else is spiraling. Meanwhile, the unprepared are running through aisles, coughing, touching surfaces without thinking, and paying inflated prices just to keep themselves alive. And the price surge is vicious. Once stores dry up, the cost doesn't just rise, it skyrockets. Desperate buyers are willing to pay double, triple, or even 10 times the normal price, competing in a frenzy that makes toilet paper hoarding look tame. The preppers? Calm, protected, watching the chaos unfold from a safe distance while others scramble, exposed, and panicked. But there's more than just masks and gloves. Think disposable gowns, face shields, and even sanitizing wipes. Layering protection isn't paranoia, it's a survival strategy. And the best part? It's cheap, easy to store, and light to carry. Yet most people won't stockpile until they've already paid the ultimate price: exposure, illness, or weeks of fear-driven isolation.
In any lockdown, contamination event, or public health crisis, masks and gloves aren't optional. They're non-negotiable survival tools. And yet most survival guides barely even mention them until it's too late. That's why the smart preppers already have a stash ready while the rest of the world ends up coughing, panicking, and paying, in every sense, financially, physically, and psychologically, for their procrastination. Let's discuss quality differences, because not all masks are equal. N95 respirators filtered 95% of airborne particles, genuine protection. Surgical masks provide splash protection and reduced droplet spread, but aren't true respirators. Cloth masks offer minimal protection. Know the difference and stock accordingly. Proper mask fitting matters enormously. N95s require proper seal around nose and mouth. Facial hair compromises effectiveness. If you can't achieve proper seal, protection drops dramatically. Store masks in original packaging to maintain integrity. Gloves present similar quality variations. Nitrile gloves resist punctures better than latex and accommodate latex allergies. Size matters. Gloves too large slip off, too small tear easily. Stock multiple sizes. And understand glove limitations. They're not magic shields. Contamination transfers if you touch your face with gloved hands. Consider storage quantities. At minimum, 50 N95 masks per household member, 200 surgical masks, and 500 disposable gloves. They tear, get contaminated, require frequent changes. This sounds excessive until crisis hits and you're using multiple masks daily. Number 5. Non-prescription pharmaceutical supplies. Let's cut to the uncomfortable truth. During a lockdown, it's not just sustenance, bathroom tissue, or hand sanitizer that vanish. Medications fly off the shelves faster than almost anything else. Painkillers, fever reducers, allergy medications, antacids, the things you take for granted every day, suddenly become scarce luxury items. Wait too long and you're left scrambling, overpaying, or worse, going without. Here's the controversial reality most people won't admit. Your health is the single most critical factor in surviving a crisis, and nothing destroys your chances faster than being sick,
in pain, or dehydrated with no relief in sight. The people who glide through lockdowns calm, functional, and healthy, they're not lucky. They quietly stockpile over-the-counter medications long before panic buying becomes the norm. The sneaky extras are even more revealing. Cold medicine, electrolyte powders, digestive aids, cheap, small, and overlooked, suddenly turn into survival gold. When shortages hit, most people realize their mistake too late. Meanwhile, the prepared are quietly self-sufficient, pain-free, and functional, while everyone else is coughing, miserable, and desperate. Here's the kicker. These aren't luxury items. They aren't just in case. They are survival necessities. And if you think you can improvise with home remedies or substitutes, think again. When your pharmacy shelves are bare, desperation sets in fast, and the real value of preparation hits hard. In short, over-the-counter medications are the silent MVP of lockdown survival. Ignore them and you'll quickly discover that food and water alone can't keep you alive. You also need relief, health, and the ability to function. Let's build a comprehensive medicine cabinet. Ibuprofen and acetaminophen, multiple bottles of each. Antihistamines for allergies, cold and flu medications, daytime and nighttime formulations, antidiarrheal medication, laxatives, constipation becomes common with dietary changes, antacids, cough suppressants and expectorants, antiseptic ointments, hydrocortisone cream, electrolyte replacement powders, and basic first aid supplies. Don't forget specialized needs. If anyone in your household requires specific medications regularly, stockpile maximum allowable quantities. Children's formulations differ from adult versions. Stock appropriately. Pain management becomes crucial during extended isolation when medical care isn't easily accessible. Here's what doctors won't tell you. Minor health issues escalate dramatically when professional medical care isn't available. A simple headache becomes debilitating without pain relief. Allergies become miserable without antihistamines. Digestive issues can incapacitate you without proper medication. Stock broadly and generously. Expiration dates matter less than you think for most medications. They represent guaranteed potency, not sudden ineffectiveness. Properly stored medications retain substantial effectiveness years beyond printed dates. Store in cool, dry, dark locations. Avoid bathrooms. Humidity degrades medications. Number 4. Antibacterial solutions and disinfecting products. Here's the harsh truth nobody wants to admit. During a lockdown, cleanliness is currency.
Hand sanitizer, disinfectant wipes, multi-surface sprays, these aren't mere convenience items. They're your first line of defense against illness, chaos, and the creeping collapse of everyday life. And just like bathroom tissue, once panic hits, alcohol-based sanitizers and wipes vanish faster than anyone expects, leaving unprepared households exposed, vulnerable, and humiliated. The controversial reality, most people only recognize their value once they're trapped, sick, stressed, or unknowingly spreading germs to family, neighbors, and coworkers. While the masses hoard pasta, rice, or survival snacks, the shrewd preppers quietly stockpile sanitizer sprays and wipes, knowing that a clean surface and clean hands can mean the difference between a safe lockdown and a full-blown medical nightmare. And let's get real, there's a psychological battlefield here too. Seeing your home wiped down, surfaces disinfected, and hands clean gives a sense of control when everything else is spiraling. Meanwhile, your neighbors are panicking, hoarding sugar and canned beans like it's armor, while missing the invisible threat right under their fingertips. Here's the kicker. Once stores run dry, prices skyrocket. Online sellers exploit fear, buyers pay obscene amounts, and the unprepared are left scrambling, desperate, and often sick. It's ugly, it's predatory, and it's the reality lockdowns expose. Those who stock sanitizer and disinfectants early, they walk through chaos like it's a war zone they've already mapped. Calm, confident, protected. Everyone else? Stressed, exposed, paying with their dignity and sometimes their health. In a lockdown, ignoring sanitizer isn't just negligence, it's reckless. It's leaving your survival to chance, while the smart ones quietly armor up, knowing that safety isn't about luck, it's about preparation. Understand sanitizer chemistry.
Alcohol-based sanitizers require minimum 60% alcohol content for effectiveness. Higher concentrations, 70 to 90%, work better. Below 60%, largely ineffective against many pathogens. Check labels carefully. Marketing claims don't always match reality. Disinfecting wipes serve different purposes than sanitizing wipes. Disinfecting wipes kill bacteria and viruses on surfaces. Sanitizing wipes reduce bacterial count but don't necessarily kill viruses. Know what you're buying and what you need. Surface disinfectants require contact time, the duration the surface must remain wet for the disinfectant to work. Most require 3 to 10 minutes. People typically wipe and immediately dry, achieving minimal disinfection. Read instructions, follow them. Stock comprehensively. Multiple bottles of hand sanitizer, minimum 1 gallon total, several canisters of disinfecting wipes, spray disinfectants for larger surfaces, isopropyl alcohol, 70% or higher, for DIY sanitizer if commercial products aren't available, and spray bottles for application. Create disinfecting stations throughout your home. Entry points, kitchen, bathrooms, workspace. Make sanitizing automatic, not an afterthought. Habit formation prevents disease spread more effectively than sporadic efforts. Number 3, bathroom tissue and absorbent paper products. Let's be brutally honest. Bathroom tissue is the unspoken currency of any lockdown. Forget gold, forget cryptocurrency. When panic hits, a single roll can hold more power than most people realize. Every time a crisis hits, it disappears from shelves faster than you can blink. And while everyone else is awkwardly fumbling, paying absurd markups, or turning to desperate alternatives nobody will admit they've used, the people who stock up, they're the ones quietly winning the survival game. Here's the controversial truth that makes people uncomfortable. Hoarding bathroom tissue isn't selfish, it's strategic, and yet society loves to shame anyone smart enough to think ahead. Think about it. Without enough TP, a person doesn't just deal with minor inconvenience. They're vulnerable, humiliated, and stressed in ways that food shortages allowing can't create. Add paper towels to the mix, and you're not just hoarding convenience. You're securing sanitation, hygiene, and the ability to maintain a semblance of control when the world is imploding. Let's talk psychology. There's a reason TP panic videos go viral. It's status, confidence, control. Being prepared with these boring items means you walk into chaos with calm, knowing you don't have to beg, barter, or compromise basic dignity. Meanwhile, your neighbors are frantically scanning empty aisles, paying triple, or let's face it, doing things they'd rather die than admit. Here's where it gets really ugly. Bathroom tissue and paper towels vanish faster than nearly anything else. Often they're gone before food runs out. Waiting until the last minute isn't just risky, it's a calculated invitation to suffering, humiliation, and panic-induced stupidity.
Those who scoff at TP hoarders, they're often the first to break under pressure. In reality, these mundane rolls of paper are the ultimate survival weapon. They separate the organized from the desperate, the calm from the chaotic, the dignified from the defeated. Ignore them and you'll learn the harshest lesson of all. Survival isn't about fancy gadgets or gourmet canned beans. It's about mastering the basics that everyone else underestimates. In the end, bathroom tissue isn't just a supply, it's power. And anyone who tells you otherwise is either naive or lying to themselves. Calculate your needs realistically. Average person uses approximately 100 rolls annually. For a 3-month supply, that's roughly 25 rolls per person. 4-person household, 100 rolls minimum. Sounds excessive? It disappears faster than you expect. Storage considerations matter. Bathroom tissue compresses under weight. Don't stack too high. Moisture destroys it. Never store in damp basements or garages. Original packaging provides some protection. Consider additional waterproofing for long-term storage. Paper towels serve multiple purposes: cleaning spills, surface disinfection, food preparation, even makeshift napkins or tissues. Calculate at minimum 2 rolls per week. That's roughly 25 rolls for 3 months. Budget more if you have children or use them heavily. Alternatives exist but prove inferior. Bidets reduce toilet paper consumption dramatically. Consider installation before crisis hits, not during. Reusable cloth wipes work, but create laundry demands and psychological barriers most people don't overcome. Stock sufficient quantities of the real thing. Number 2. Purified water containers and filtration systems. Here's the brutal truth nobody wants to admit. Sustenance keeps you alive, but water keeps you functioning, and it's far more fragile than most people realize. When a lockdown hits, taps can run dry, delivery services falter, and supply chains collapse. Clean water isn't guaranteed, and panic hits faster than you think. Smart preppers don't just grab a few bottles and hope for the best. They stock weeks, sometimes months of water and invest in filtration systems that turn almost any source into drinkable liquid. Bottled water is obvious, sure, but filters and purifiers, that's where the real survival edge lies. They make the difference between staying healthy or getting sick, staying hydrated or facing dehydration in a nightmare scenario.
Now, here's the controversial part. The survival industry almost always glorifies canned food, freeze-dried meals, and fancy emergency kits. But water is far more urgent, and it gets treated like an afterthought. Most people assume water will always be there until it isn't. When rumors of scarcity spread, bottled water disappears in hours, prices skyrocket online, and the unprepared are left scrambling, desperate, and vulnerable. Here's the kicker. Having water ready isn't just about quenching thirst. It's control, power, and a psychological advantage. While everyone else panics over empty taps or resorts to dangerous alternatives, the prepared remain calm, healthy, and untouchable. In a lockdown, water isn't optional. It isn't just a survival necessity, it's the single most critical resource you can secure. And if you ignore it, you're basically volunteering to fail. Let's face it, society doesn't want you to worry about water. It's inconvenient, unglamorous, and messy. But when the world shuts down, the very thing you take for granted becomes your ultimate weapon. Calculate water needs scientifically. Minimum 1 gallon per person daily, half for drinking, half for sanitation and cooking. 3 months supply for 4-person household, 360 gallons.